That's what it feels like to lose an hour of sleep. What's going on, everybody? This is the Cover Band Confidential Podcast, the podcast for cover band musicians and band leaders to learn how to rock more and suck less. Pretty sleepy in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm Adam Johnson.
Yeah, in Greensboro, North Carolina, I'm Dan Ray. I still have PTSD from a high school band, a rehearsal from the band that I had in high school, which was on the Sunday of Spring Forward, and we'll get together at 10 on Sunday. And this was back in the day when you had to do daylight savings manually. There was no automatic anything back in my day. And so half the band showed up an hour late because they missed the boat somehow. There was no internet to tell you that. You had to be watching TV on Saturday night to know to change the clock. And it was a bad performance. So I've literally had every rehearsal I've ever had on the Sunday of a time change. I've thought about that rehearsal that got messed up. And it was like the last rehearsal before a big gig. It was important that we get together, and daylight saving time 100% screwed us. So I think about that twice a year.
Yes, for all of the guys who were gigging on Saturday night that you sprung forward, our sincere condolences. God. This is the first year in a while where I didn't have something going on that night. So
yeah,
my dogs, though, decided it was time to get up at 5:30, which is 4:30 in reality.
Yeah,
and so I was up anyway. But how's it going?
Not bad. Had the last rehearsal with the new bassist before our first gig with that guy, and we're ready to go, ready to roll. It's gonna be awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We're also prepping for our show this week. This is the first gig of our year. So We've got rehearsal on Thursday. We've got not a new guitar player. He's played with us before, but he's now stepped into that role in a full-time capacity. This gig's got a few moving parts, but nothing super outrageous. We just have some additional AV needs. And in reality, for the band, it's literally just a 90-minute power set. So we're narrowing everything down. Everybody's got their marching orders ready to get in the room on Thursday and just crank it out.
Sweet.
Looking forward to it.
It's great. Is it, what kind of show is it?
This is a fundraiser for a school. It's
right
at a venue in Atlanta that we haven't played before, but it's very nice. It's called the Carlisle, which, I mean, you're never going to walk into a place called the Carlisle and be like, oh man, this place sucks.
Yeah.
It just sounds expensive.
Really? Who's Carlisle? What did they think?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be good to shake the, whatever the cobwebs.
Yeah.
Is that
dust?
Metaphorically?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's what we've got going on. As far as stuff that's gone on this past week, we were definitely up to our eyeballs in gear talk. And actually, through that conversation, I managed to talk myself into buying a set of those Phenyx Pro microphones because there's an auction component of this event, and having a set of cheap but reliable Stunt mics that are wireless seemed like a home run.
Yeah, so you mentioned Stunt mics. There was a video posted on the patron Slack that hurt my entire soul of somebody doing an announcement. The boss wants to come up and say some things during this corporate event, whatever. Fine, use the mics, all good. The boss then removed the wireless mic from the stand and fully did a mic drop. And I think it should be in our contracts, all of them, that a mic drop is automatic purchase of a new mic on your dime, because
100%.
That is some nonsense.
Yeah, that's just kind of a general, be considerate of other people's stuff.
Yeah, mics. I think it seems to them like mics just are there. They're there.
They just exist.
They just are. Yeah.
Organically, they're just out in the wild.
Yeah. Dropping them, obviously, Kanye does it, so it must be okay.
Right. Yeah, that was a terrible deal. And that person in the Slack was like, hey, I learned a lesson that day. And now we have that.
Yep. So Stunt mics.
But,
yeah.
Yes. But literally the day that we finish recording last week's episode, Line 6 just decides to completely drop the gauntlet on affordable modelers, and they released two pedals that, once again, we were talking about this with the Sheeran stuff, right up the alley of this listener base. So if you aren't aware, on Monday or kind of early last week, Line 6 announced the Pod Express. It's two separate pedals, one for guitar, one for bass, and just super small, like literally just a stomp box size, amp and bass modeler. And the feature set is ridiculous. You've got 7 amps, 7 cabs, both specifically for guitar and bass. Same goes with the effects, 16 effects on both models, but different from one another. The form factor is really nice. It's all knobs. It was such a throwback to the OG pod.
Yeah.
Because it's got the rotary knobs and just the readouts and everything. Is like,
yeah,
I remember these.
Yeah, it's not shaped like a kidney bean, but apart from that,
well, yeah, I mean, it's so small, especially, I mean, considering where it came from. And the demos all sound amazing. The one that I'm most excited for, honestly, is the bass one, because it's got a dark glass model. It's got the Aguilar stuff. Like, it's a really well curated setup. And the guitar stuff is fine. I will more than likely buy the guitar one just to have it as a backup of my Stomp. I mean, the thing that's crazy about this is the price itself.
I mean, how do you not just buy one?
Well, I'll tell you.
Oh, here's how.
On Thursday, I walked into the Guitar Center by my house, and Jason from Working Class Music, we're buddies in real life. If you don't follow them on YouTube, you should go check them out. I walked right up to him and I was like, I need you to talk me out of buying the Guitar Pod Express today. And he goes, well, we don't have any, and neither do any of the other Guitar Centers. So he was willing to ship one. I was like, no, if I'm thinking about it, I'll have to think about it. So
I like how you said that before we hit the record button. You described that as, I walked in here to make a bad decision.
Yes, I was fully prepared to spend money I didn't necessarily need to on something I don't necessarily need, but cooler heads prevailed.
Yeah.
Because of light inventory.
Well, brand new product. It's not distributed yet, probably.
They say they're in stock, and I think folks who are ordering them are getting them next day. So I think it might just be a Guitar Center issue.
Okay.
But either way, I would love to have just something real light and easy to cart around as a backup situation. And at the price point, I think it's a total no-brainer. So if you're in the market, you should absolutely check it out. I think it's a really great opportunity for folks who are amp folks, maybe considering jumping in. Maybe you're thinking about setting up a silent rehearsal kind of deal in somebody's basement, and you don't necessarily want to throw down on something like a quad Cortex or whatever. It's actually, I mean, that's how I got into it when my original band started doing rehearsals at our guitar player's house. And he already had some sort of pod situation, so I got a Pod XT, and that I used that for years and years.
Yeah.
It works great for that particular purpose.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good entry point for all of you folks who are not quite ready to take the plunge. Low stakes, high benefit.
Yep, for sure. Here's something that's a little higher stakes, high benefit.
Okay.
My drummer has just gotten one of those Roland digital kits that looks like a full acoustic drum kit.
The VAD kit.
I guess I'm not hip to the unit numbers and whatnot, but it's exciting because if he was, I mean, it's brand new. He hadn't had to experiment with it and bring it in and use it in the context of rehearsal before we get ready to gig it. But if that had all been done, bringing it to this show on Saturday would be amazing because this space is tiny. And last time we were there last year, it was so acoustically rough. Like we were making it through, but it was hard. So if we had the controllability of digital drums, it would have really made a difference. And so that's pretty exciting. That's a pretty cool thing.
It's tough because I think a lot of drummers are really hesitant to go that route, but I can't stress enough how beneficial it is to have that option.
Right.
Even if it's not something you use all the time, just to have the ability to be like, okay, this isn't going to work in this particular room, this particular gig, this particular scenario. Let's change this out. Let's switch gears. Just to have the option is a huge deal. Yeah. Especially if you're wanting to get into the private market, because not all venues are created equal.
For sure.
And I mean, even Mike from the Pork Tornadoes uses
he's gone
a
hybrid
digital kit and some of the gigs.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
He's got one of those VAD kits. That's honestly how I knew what they were called.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
The other gear thing before we move on from it is, and I think you own one of these. I got that hint from the Slack. I have a DJI Osmo Pocket 3 camera.
Yes.
Shipping to me. Theoretically, UPS should, I mean, they know we're in that place where like the shipping label's been made, but the product hasn't shown up to ship yet. In theory, it should be there Monday and get to me Wednesday for use by my roadie friend at the gig on Saturday. That was the point of getting it in that kind of time frame. You have one of those. You took it to the NAMM show.
Well, I borrowed one.
I see.
A friend of mine who does video work had it, and they weren't using it for anything that week. And I gave him my Schecter Nick Johnston signature as collateral just to make sure he knew that I was good for it.
Yeah.
I did end up buying the Mic 2 system,
Okay.
which is fantastic. And I will say this, that camera is super easy to use.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can easily switch it from landscape to portrait, literally just by flicking the display,
Mm-hmm.
super cool feature. It's real small. It does literally fit in your pocket.
Yeah.
The thing that I found though is that when I needed a camera to shoot something really quick, 9 times out of 10, I still went with my phone.
Yeah.
Just based on the situation.
There you were. You had your phone, easy to pull it out.
Yeah.
My thing is, so I have, my co-front person, Taylor, her husband, Justin, roadies for us.
Yep.
And so I bill us like we're a 5-piece so that I can pay him for that. And my plan is to hand him this camera and tell him like, go nuts, man.
Well, and that is, it is perfect for that.
Yeah.
As, a lot of folks in our community are fans of the Mevo systems,
Yes.
which are static automated streaming cameras. Fantastic for that. But the prospect of having a dead easy, simple handheld camera
Right.
that does all of the stabilization, I think it's a fantastic option for that, especially knowing that you'll have a person in the room
Yes.
who can do those things while you guys are doing your thing.
Exactly. I mean, I'm deep in the Mevo ecosystem too. I own 6 of those and they're great on stands for fixed point video, but I'm finding that the videos that I make from those feel really static because there's no handheld camera in it. So to add some of that in and then be able to do it in both orientations for both, for all the purposes you would do both horizontal and vertical video, it seems like a really great thing. So I have the creator package coming that includes a handle that includes a bigger battery, and it has the wireless mic that you mentioned, and a few other things that theoretically ought to be here Wednesday if UPS does the right thing by me.
And something to think about, because you'll have both the camera and the microphone, is that at the end of the show, you could walk out into the crowd and be like, what did you think of the show? And you'll have a noise canceling microphone.
Yes.
These things actually sound really, really good. I use it for a lot of the video content that I make. I will say this though, depending on the situation, even if I don't need the microphone, I will hold the microphone because there's just this kind of,
there's an aura.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's 100% a prop, not using it at all, but there is something about it. And I do love the idea that they have these mics and they're wireless and they're portable and they've got clips and magnets so that you don't have to wear them. Everybody still holds them.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
It's a cultural thing, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it is. That and like wrestling with the person on the street you're interviewing for the control of the mic. That moment of like,
you have to back and forth. Speaking of back and forth, let's go to reviews.
not bad.
You guys send something and then it comes back to us as a review?
We put this out and it comes back and forth.
So are we fourthing? We send something forth.
We're fourthing and the review comes back. Yes.
Love that. This one's from B. It says, hot takes. I found this podcast about a year ago and have listened to every episode. They either validate thoughts that I already have or give me great new ideas to put into practice. If you are trying to take your band to the next level, look no further and hit the subscribe button. You will be happy you did. Okay, bye. Thanks, B.
Okay, bye. Thanks, B.
That's I was saying.
Yeah, KBYE. Okay, bye.
If you want us to say something
Okay, bye.
straight, yeah. If you want us to say okay, bye again. I mean, we said it 6 times just now, but leave a review. We love to hear from you guys, and it helps elevate our searchability on all of those platforms. And as of right now, we're the highest rated working musician podcast in the world. So
Cha-ching.
let's keep that up.
Yeah.
I mean, not a flex, but
Not a flex.
yeah. So let's get into the meat of this week's episode.
Here we go.
So once again, I cannot thank you guys enough for sending in emails. We've gotten a bunch of them over the past couple of weeks, and we had 2 really great topics to choose from. And we chose this one because I think it is a good part of the year to discuss it. And it's not about taxes, which, I mean, it's the sexiest episode of the year, but we'll still hold off, even though I have already paid out the nose for my deal this year. I mean, hey, we made money. It's the first time since the pandemic
It's
that
a good problem.
the business is turned a profit.
Yeah.
So good situation to be in. Good problem, I suppose. Anyway, this email came in this past week, and it is from Ben. And Ben is in a group called the Yacht Dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And he had some questions about media and just kind of marketing in general. And we're getting back out into the swing of things. It is time to really hit the ground running, if you haven't already, to let people know that you're still around and you're doing stuff. And I think this is a perfect conversation to have. Do you want to start it off?
Okay, here we go. And listen, this was a really rich email. It contained a lot of good stuff that we loved, and we're going to fine tune on the question. We're going to just zero in on the part that's question. But he did start by saying, "Hey, confidants, see, no one gets top billing." I like that.
That's how you know he listens.
That's how you know he listens. I've been a big fan of your show for a couple of years now, and I'm pleased that you have read my review on your show. See, so that works. I've been able to gather tons of photos and videos from friends in the audience, including a few who are professional photographers. And the front of house engineer was kind enough to record our show in multi-track to a thumb drive I gave him. Our keyboard player used Ableton Live, and he was able to help me mix those tracks down into what I consider to be really great sounding live demo recordings, aside from the few moments we probably don't want to share. I don't know anything about what you're talking about.
No,
I've never felt that way myself. No. But now I'm sort of overwhelmed by the possibilities, and I have no idea what to share, when, where, how to share it, or how someone with a full-time job trying to book shows for a band with only 45 minutes of polished material can get it all done. We should come back and talk about 45 minutes of polished material, but that's another topic. Here's the question. Do bands need custom websites anymore? If so, should it be more than a splash page? Should we share show photos and recordings on websites, links to YouTube? How long should these recordings be? That's the first question. There's a second one that we'll get to in a second, but let's just pause right there and deal with that. Should a band have a custom website? What do you think?
Well, I have a couple of qualifying questions to that. And I think it's really, where are you wanting to play? Because if you are just wanting to play club dates and bar gigs and that kind of thing, no, I don't think it's necessary. I think if you've got well-established social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, what have you, that is sufficient to show people that you know what you're doing and that you're busy and all that stuff. If you are looking to play private parties, corporate events, weddings, it's an absolute must.
Yep.
Because it is the easiest way to show somebody who doesn't necessarily have a lot of time to dig through a bunch of resources that you are serious about what you do and that you are professionals. So my band has had a website pretty much since its infancy, and almost all of our leads come through that website, like literally all of them. And the fact that we have a standalone site that is easy to get to and shows all of the pertinent information is really the important stuff. So let's talk about design. Should it be more than a splash page? I don't know. It doesn't necessarily have to be. I think there's a generally accepted kind of structure for a band website. But if you wanted to do that as one long single page, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I think designs that have like links down a page rather than going off to other pages, it's a perfectly valid approach. I think that's fine.
I will say things that your website does not need are going to be individual band member bios.
Yeah.
If you have a bio on your site, it should be just a marketing paragraph or two.
Yep.
It should be, this is what the band does. This is what the band has done. This is what the band can do. That's it.
You know, I broke that rule in the website for The New Strange. And part of it was when we did our photo shoot, we hired a professional photographer and had professional photos taken. And I had this idea of having a series of photos where each member was like up front and prominent and figured, and then the other three of us in the background, and we'd rotate so that I could say, you know, I could use the same photo structure about each person. And so I do. I have a 2 or 3 sentence bio about each of us on the website, using those photos to highlight the person I'm talking about. The problem is now the bassist has changed.
You got no picture.
I got no picture and I got no story. So I have to redo all of that now with a photographer, and I am working on that plan.
Sure.
But the problem is, I guess I wouldn't say it's a problem. It's a branding choice about whether you're attaching the brand to those individuals or if you're telling the story of the band as a concept and value proposition of its own.
So in my situation, the only person who is still in the band since the band formed is me.
Right. Right.
So
yeah.
I kind of didn't have an option.
Right.
I had to do that because ultimately the concept of the group is the thing that has endured. Lineups have changed and all of that
Exactly.
stuff. So,
and so that's the story you tell on your personal website. This is the point of having an individual website for a band or in your case, an agency maybe, is that it's where you tell the story. See, a brand is a story, and you can't tell that story on Facebook. You really can't. It's too disparate. It's too many little pieces in different whatever. So, a website can tell a story, and that's the thing you want to focus on as you talk about your band's individual custom website is what is the marketing message here? What's the story I want to tell? What's the value proposition I want to propose to customers? That's why a band needs an individual website. And I think you're exactly right that if you're just going to walk into bars and book in person with a booker, probably not necessary. But if you have ambitions that are bigger than that, then you for sure need one. You got to be able to tell your own story.
And as far as show photos and recordings on the website, yeah, you should do that.
Do that.
The things you need to focus on, you've already said you've got good sounding stuff. That's a big step.
Yep.
That's a huge win.
Yep.
The next thing that you've got to be able to convey is the band looking cool and the people having fun. So you've already got the thing that says we sound good. Now you just have to sell what the experience of going to see your show is like.
Yeah, this is the instruction I'm going to give to my roadie who's going to be manning my camera on Saturday is like us looking cool, the room being full, and people having fun. That's all I care about getting.
That's really all there is to it.
Yep.
As far as hosting those things, again, it kind of matters where you're planning on putting this up. I've got 5 websites. The 2 music-focused ones are on 2 separate hosts. I've got a Banzoogle site for members only, and then the agency is a Squarespace site. And I picked Squarespace because I already had a Squarespace site and I knew how to build them. Coverbandconfidential.com is now run under Squarespace. It's more expensive, but there's a lot more features that are available to you. Banzoogle is super easy to set up.
Yeah.
But as a person who knows how to build websites and has an idea about the aesthetic choices that I want to make and that kind of thing, it was very frustrating to put that together because I couldn't do what I wanted to do. And a lot of the stuff that I wanted to put onto our site, I couldn't because they kind of tier features at different levels. And that's fine. It's a business choice that you can do. But from the perspective of a person who knows what they want and knows how to do it outside of it, I was not super stoked.
Yeah, I would say danray.net is at Banzoogle, and it's fine. It's fine. It's not terrific. It's fine. I've been a professional website builder for most of my adult life, and I did find it very limiting. It's very template oriented, so you choose a template, and then you can do what that template allows, and really not much more. But they do have, within a pricing structure, they have merch sales and email list management and a lot of good features, but you pay for them.
Sure.
So,
yeah,
it's an option. It's an option. If you were somebody like me who could stand up in Amazon EC3 and put Apache and a database and WordPress and whatever on it yourself, maybe that would be the option to go to. I did just mention WordPress. If you can write it on your own, that's far better than WordPress. But in terms of how to stand up a website, there are a lot of things out there that you can use, and they're not hard. So
I think it goes without saying this episode is not brought to you in part by Banzoogle.
I guess not. We have ambitions of that, but not this one.
Yeah, but it's important that we feel a certain way about things.
Yeah.
We're not going to sugarcoat, it's fine. And again, if you don't know where to start, it's a great option.
Yeah, I mean, I would be willing to bet that for 90% of people who are in bands, you can build an entirely credible band website on Banzoogle. It's only because we know how flexible it can be that we're aware of the limitations of flexibility, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fine place to start.
Talking about the videos themselves, how long should recordings be? Depends on the usage. I think that there is value to putting an entire show up onto a YouTube channel. Members Only's got a show, I think it's over an hour. It's like, it could be close to 2 hours. We basically just put a camera in the back of the room. It's just the room audio, packed house. And it is something that you can point to when people want to know what the band sounds like. I think the multi-track recordings are great. They give you the ability to harness the sound and curate it in a way that really puts your best foot forward.
Yeah.
I still think there's value to a static camera back of the room, mic'd up video.
Yeah.
Because it shows
it's the reality,
authentic experience of being in the room.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Apart from that, I've always felt like couple 3, 4 something full songs plus 1 or 2 highlight reels that are, maybe the highlight reel is 3 minutes long and
I think that's too long.
Do you? 1.5 minutes, maybe
60 seconds.
All right. Fair. And it's
just throw the chorus of 5 songs together.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
Yeah.
And use that for promo. And if you're making like an actual promo video, there should be a 30-second version. No, 15, 30, 60, 90. I think anything beyond that is you're just wasting your time.
Yeah.
Because you want to make sure that you can send it to a venue so that they can post it on their socials. So you want something around 30 seconds, 15 seconds for that kind of deal. Anything beyond that, I just don't think is going to get as much use.
Listen, anyone who's going to watch more than 90 seconds of you is going to come to that YouTube and watch 3 hours.
Sure.
So there's the difference between 90 seconds and 3 hours is way, way less than 15 to 30, right? The fall off in users' persistence, right, happens at like the 15 second mark. So
I think nowadays it's even less than that.
Yeah, probably so. Probably so.
2 to 5 second.
Yeah, probably so.
Now, you had a question about EPKs and whether those are something that you still need.
Yeah. So electronic press kit is what EPK stands for. And even that is an evolution of a thing called a press kit, which old time bands in the 70s, 80s, 90s mailed into the radio stations of the markets they were going to tour into in the next few months. And it had all the photos, all the bios. There were no links. There were no links to YouTube. It was a CD. It was a kit, a physical thing that you shipped to particularly the radio stations.
Yep.
And then it went to an EPK, an electronic press kit, which is kind of all that stuff, but digital.
Yep.
And I guess my question is these days whether bands, maybe touring bands, still need that kind of, because look, if I'm a music editor at a local independent newspaper, okay, I need high-res photos that I can run in my article I'm writing about your show that's in 2 weeks. That's what that really is for, right? Is that different from something I'm delivering on my website? Is that still valuable? Do people still, I mean, those independent papers don't put them out on paper anymore. They're all digital these days. So do they need high-res photos of my guitarist and my bassist and my keyboard player? Less these days, I would think. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
So in the original music world, again, dating myself, early 2000s, there was this company called Sonic Bids.
Yeah.
And Sonic Bids was basically the EPK people. And if you were trying to get into festivals or breaking into new towns and stuff, you had to have an EPK on Sonic Bids and you would like pitch yourself basically to these things. It was a bit of a racket and always left a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah, they took a cut from both sides. So it's
it was pretty shady. That being said, on our website, I have an EPK page. And what that's for is kind of what you were talking about if somebody wants to put an article together. But it's also something that I'll send to venue owners when we book a date. And the things that are on that page are a high-res promo photo, the bio that goes out for whenever we do those kinds of things, but it also has branding assets. So it's got a high-res PNG of our logo with black lettering, and it's got a high-res PNG of our logo with white lettering. Just the kind of things that you would need to put onto an existing event. So like if you're doing, let's say, a municipal event and they've already got their own logo and stuff, and they're going to put these flyers out. Well, you send them a link to this page as opposed to having to send individual assets anytime they ask for it. You'd be like, anything you need, go to the site. It's not in the navigation. It's just a page that I can just send a link to,
Mhm.
and they can go in and get whatever they need. And, that's that.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yes, it's important. No, it's not absolutely necessary. But if you're going to go to the trouble of doing it, those are the things you're going to need.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to think about what a marketing person who has been given the task of marketing your gig
Yep.
is going to need from you. That's what an EPK is for.
Correct. So the next one is the $1 million question.
Here we go.
It says, do you use the Bash, formerly Gig Masters? How much effort should I put into building a band profile on a site like this? So listen, I think that the Bash serves a purpose. If you are a band who's looking to break into private events or trying to level up from where you're at, it is a way to do that. In my situation with the bands that I run, I don't see the value in it. And that's just because we have gotten to the point where our pricing is not competitive in that kind of, I guess, marketplace, because we're not competing on price.
Right.
And the Bash is very much geared towards competing on price.
It really is like Fiverr for event
Bands.
vendors, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, price is a crucial piece of the bidding and gig getting process there. And yeah, I think you're right. I think there is a moment in the transition of a band's life where that's a potentially valid way to what would we say, build credibility, maybe.
Yeah.
In a particular market.
Get your reps in.
Yeah. But it's not going to be where your long-term corporate wedding event stuff is going to come from. Not once you're at the level that you are at, where you're providing more value than you could when you're fighting against 6 other bidders.
Yeah, I mean, if you are able to be flexible with your pricing and you're just trying to fill out your schedule, it can do that.
Yep.
And on the bright side, every year that we bought a Gig Masters membership, the membership was paid for by the gigs that we booked.
Sure.
Now, granted, we weren't booking a ton of them, but again, we were trying to price ourselves at a level that just wasn't around some of the competition.
Yeah.
And when we would get rejected on stuff, it was always around pricing. Because if you don't know what a band should or shouldn't provide, and you see 3 bands and they all kind of seem to play roughly the same kind of music, one of them's charging $800 and one of them's charging $1,200, and then there's this other band's charging $3,000.
Right.
You're like, why would I pay for that when I can get one of these other ones for half the price or a third of the price?
Yeah. Yeah. But to your point, I think if undercutting yourself for strategic purposes doesn't hurt your feelings too bad, it is certainly possible to be cash flow positive using that platform and the other ones like it.
Well, and I know plenty of groups that are on the Bash that crush.
Yeah.
The thing is that just like any of these other sites, you kind of have to play the game. And so you get a gig and then you get a positive review. And then you can kind of build these reviews up where they put you in these different tiers. And so when somebody goes to your bio on that site, it says, we were best event band in our market in 2023.
Yeah.
And so those are credentials and those are things that can help you close the deal.
Mm-hmm.
But you do have to play the game to get to that level in order to get those kinds of gigs. And you just have to be willing to deal with the other stuff as a part of it.
Right.
And we haven't bought a Bash membership in probably 5 years, but they keep emailing us like, we miss you.
Yeah.
Come back.
Yeah. And every now and then I get, hey, so-and-so wants to hire you on Bash. And invariably the information and I don't want to think they don't exist. I don't want to think they're being made up by the Bash, but the content they put in to explain what the gig is desperately insufficient.
Yeah.
To actually quote the thing. And then when I try to interact with them, they're like, it's one-liner responses. So whether that's a real human trying to use the Bash and just doing it badly, I don't know. I don't know what's behind that, but I've in the last year or so, the interactions I've had with people on the bash have been very dissatisfying, and made me not really want to engage and invest in what it takes to operate well on that platform.
I will also go out of my way and throw Gig Salad under the bus as well.
Same.
This episode is not brought to you in part by The Bash or Gig Salad.
Yeah.
We are just burning bridges here.
Yeah, independent thinkers. That's what we are.
So the other questions were kind of around the idea of social media, ban Instagram, personal YouTube stuff. Can't stand TikTok. You know, it can be valid. And in my perspective, if you're in the vertical video ecosystem, you should be posting stuff to Instagram. You should post stuff to YouTube. You should be posting stuff to TikTok. They may not all hit the same way, but it gives you more of an opportunity to kind of spread your brand recognition out there. And there are a ton of cover bands that are crushing on all of those platforms.
Yeah.
There's a Van Halen tribute that's on TikTok, and they're on all the other platforms as well. And it's literally the same video every single time. It's them at soundcheck starting Unchained, and the guitar player starts playing the riff, and the David Lee Roth walks up the drum riser, and he gets to the front of the drum riser, and he goes to jump off, and it cuts to the show where he's doing the full splits off of the drum riser in front of like 1,000 people.
Excellent.
And the place is going bananas.
Yeah.
It's the same video every single time, and it crushes every single time.
Yeah.
They've got a massive following. It's also because the guy who does their Dave is very much of that kind of personality. And so when people slag him, he'll respond in videos, and like, it doesn't bother them. And so they have figured out a way to cultivate this following by not only showing, again, them looking cool and people having fun, but also that they don't take themselves seriously enough that they won't engage with people who are trolling them and that kind of thing.
Crucial. And
that's really the social media presence that you've got to figure out.
Totally.
So I think, social media is the name of the game. There are venues who will literally look at your email and go directly to your Instagram page.
Yes.
And if you don't have enough followers, sorry, you don't have to like it. But the fact of the matter is that it's a popularity contest, and the most popular band wins, period. So play the game or don't, but just know that if you choose to not do it, it's going to affect your ability to close deals.
Yep. And as much as it seems like a dark art, there's a lot of resources out there to figure out how to do it.
Including us.
Yeah.
I've somehow figured out how to get a few thousand followers and how to, some videos pop off. I made one about the difference between hacking and phishing today.
Nice.
That like 15,000 views, and people arguing with me that phishing is the same as hacking. And I'm like, well, no, it isn't.
It's not.
Well, it isn't.
No, it's not.
But they think they disagree.
Well, they're wrong.
And my response was, well, I could agree with you, but then we'd both be wrong. and then they posted a video response about how I don't know what I'm talking about.
Sure. Well,
the
point is, all of this is engagement, and it's good algorithmically. So
yes, yeah. People are angry.
That's right.
People comment.
That's right.
And that's actually when you get somebody who's mad at you, and you comment, and then they comment back, and then they comment back. At some point, golden. You should be like, please don't stop doing this.
Yeah, bring it.
Because this is helping me.
This is algorithmic
and it's hurting
gold. You. And frankly, our political parties have figured this out, and it's about time bands figure it out.
Yep. So yeah, if somebody's pissed off at you, just let them know. Like, keep commenting. It's going to ruin your day because all you're going to see is more of me.
That's right.
Every comment you leave.
I will be right back at you because it's good for
Knock
me algorithmically.
Yourself out.
Yeah, bring it.
Let's go.
Bring it.
So yes, that is marketing in a nutshell.
There you go. There you go. It's tragic that that's where we're at these days, but it is where we're at.
Make people happy, piss people off.
Yep.
The end. That's it.
And on that note, I'm going to call it for the day. No, I don't know.
There you go. Big thanks to Ben from the Yacht Dogs.
Yes. Yes.
Please go check them out. They're just getting started, but he's had a long pedigree. He's been doing this for a while.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm sure this is just the big launch of a project that's going to crush. And if he's doing Yacht Rock, it's a done deal. every single one of those bands is doing very well. So yeah, it's gonna be rad. But folks, thanks so much for tuning in. If you have any specific questions about marketing or social media strategies and that kind of stuff, send us an email, leave a comment on the video. We love talking about this stuff. This is literally what I enjoy talking about more than absolutely anything. So love to talk to you. You know, hit us up on socials, follow me and Dan personally. Just do all the stuff.
Do the things.
Or just, or Mike will tell you the rest of it. So we'll just go ahead and we'll leave it to him, and we'll go ahead and call it for this week. In Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Adam Johnson.
In Greensboro, North Carolina, I'm Dan Ray.
You have been listening to the Cover Band Confidential podcast for the week of March 15th, 2024.